Thai kitchen. Today I've traveled down south to Montgomery, Alabama, visiting my cousin. This is my cousin Nat.
Hello.
Who is going to be hanging out with us today. She's a local Alabaman. สวัสดีค่ะ So today I'm going to make you a Thai-style grilled steak or เนื้อย่าง but that's not all. This is actually part one of a 4-part series on grilled steak. We're going to make the steak, and then in part 2, 3, and 4, I'm going to turn that steak into 3 different dishes that are authentic Thai and super delicious. So I will put the links to those videos in the description of this video. So let's get started with our steak.
Alright.
So first of all, I'm going to talk about the steak. Today I'm using flank steak, 1.5 pounds of flank steak.
Is there a way that you can use other cuts of meat?
You can actually use any cut of meat that you want. Basically, it all comes down to what you're looking for. If you want to go for the premium cuts, such as a ribeye, a tenderloin, or a New York, they'll be more tender. They're probably easier to find. They're a little more expensive. They'll be a little more fancy. But things such as flank, skirt, hanger steak, flat meat is my personal favorite. Basically, steaks that are flat in nature, such as this one. They're more robust in flavor. They're a little less tender, so a little more chewy, but they're great for the grill. So that's what we're going to go with today.
And
so,
not too expensive.
No, these are actually a little bit cheaper than those ones. They're a little bit harder to find, but I think most butchers, you can order them in ahead of time if you let them know. My favorite, just so you know, again, is flat meat or bavette steak. That's another name for it as well. Okay, so I've got 1.5 pounds that I've cut into 3 different pieces for 3 of our recipes. Each one is 8 ounces, okay, for 250 grams. Just about. And then we're going to make the marinade. So the marinade, I came out with this one a couple years ago. It's very good. I'm very proud of it. I've got 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm using, actually can you grab that bottle of soy sauce back there? I'm using Healthy Boy brand mushroom soy sauce, which is a Thai soy sauce. So I've got 3 tablespoons.
This is the one you were proud of.
Yes, I was very happy to have found it in Alabama. I thought I was going to be able to get it.
Things are very kind of hard to find around here.
Yes, but if you don't have this, you can absolutely use other kinds of soy sauce, light soy sauce. So this is a tablespoon of Thai black soy sauce. You can use other kinds of dark soy sauce. It's a little bit sweet, so you can also use one of those Indonesian sweet soy sauce as well. Just a tablespoon for extra color, and it's got a kind of a molassesy flavor to it too that makes it nice.
And make the meat, I think, gets darker.
Yes, and it looks more appetizing that way.
Yes.
So I've got that. Then I've got 1 tablespoon of lime juice. Now lime juice isn't usually traditional in a Thai marinade. That's my trick that I've learned. A little bit of acid helps brighten up the flavor. And it also helps tenderize the outer edges of the meat. It's not going to tenderize everything all the way through because the marinade doesn't actually penetrate through everything. But it helps with a little bit on the outside. Mostly I do it for flavor. In addition to that, I've got a tablespoon of sugar just to balance out the salt. Just stir that up, and if it doesn't dissolve all the way, it's not a big deal. I've got about a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly crushed black pepper. I usually do a mixture of black and white because each one has a different flavor profile that I like a combination, but today I couldn't find any white.
Now, the white pepper, I don't think we have them here.
Oh, you don't?
Where did you get the white one from?
You can get white pepper most of the time at Asian grocery store. Because in regular stores, because Asian cuisine generally uses mostly white pepper. And it's spicier and it's a little bit more fragrant. Black pepper has a different aroma, but for this application, you can use black or white or a combination of. Asian stores will have them sometimes in powdered form or in corns, which you can then grind yourself or in a coffee cup. Lastly, I'm going to do garlic. Now, about a teaspoon of finely grated garlic, and I'm using a microplane or a zester here to grate it in. About 1 big clove or 2 medium-sized ones for all sorts of
really
cooking.
good already.
Yeah. Just gonna break that up, and one final ingredient. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of oil, just canola oil, vegetable oil.
Tell me why you use that. Is that a normal marinade?
It's not for, actually Thai people don't generally add it, but adding oil doesn't add any flavor, but the oil prevents the meat from drying out too much when you go to grill it. And another reason is it helps transfer the flavor of the herbs and spices into the meat. Most flavor molecules are fat soluble, not water soluble. So if your marinade only has water-based ingredients like soy sauce or lime juice, half of the flavor molecules will be stuck in the garlic rather than actually penetrate into the meat itself. So adding a little bit of oil will actually help your meat get the marinade more fully. Now, we're going to marinate this in a Ziploc bag because in a Ziploc bag, you need less of it to get the meat all covered, and it's a very clean way, so I'll get you to help me. Okay. And this recipe is good for about 1.5 pounds. So if you want to do more, just up the recipe accordingly. And then we're going to marinate this for about 2 to 3 hours if you can in the fridge, but about an hour or two before you're ready to cook it, pull it out and let it sit at room temperature, because if you grill a cold steak, just close that and massage it up for me. If you grill a cold steak, if you can imagine, it takes a long time before the inside cooks, and by that time the outside will be overcooked. If the steak is at room temperature, the cooking will be more even throughout the steak. Another thing is, if the steak is cold, it takes longer to cook, and the longer you cook it, the drier it is because water keeps evaporating. So you want steaks to always be at room temperature, regardless of what kind of steak, Thai, Western, whatever. Also, if you're in a rush and you only have like an hour, just marinate it and let it sit at room temperature. No need to put it in the fridge at all. Yeah. So we're ready to grill, and normally I would do this in the barbecue outside, but it is raining cats and dogs in Alabama, so we are using a grill pan. It's been like this all week apparently. And that's a good example of what you can do. If you don't have a grill, just use a pan, a regular saute pan. Anything that'll cook your meat will do, except the oven. Whoa! My tongue's wet. So my pan is really hot and it's smoking. So just when your pan is starting to smoke with a little bit of oil, you want to place your steak down. So the key of getting good browning, and this applies when you're using an outside barbecue grill as well, is don't move it. If you flip it around over and over again, you're not going to get a good browning. And if you want a nice, grill mark, crosshatch grill mark, place the steak at 10 o'clock. Then when it's quarter of the way through, once it gets a nice grill mark, then you flip the steak to 2 o'clock. That way you get a perfect crosshatch. I'm not too concerned about it at this point. There's two different school of thought when it comes to flipping the steak. Some people like to flip it only once, and some people like to flip it a few times over and over again. If you do flip it a few times over and over again, like I'm about to do right now.
Oh wow.
The steak won't have as nice of a grill mark because you are moving it around, but it will actually cook more evenly because the heat is coming from different directions throughout the process, and because of that reason, it's going to also cook faster and less moisture will be lost. So since we're going to slice the steak up later when we go to make our recipes, I'm not too concerned about the perfect crosshatch. I'm just concerned about the steak being nicely cooked. On a cultural note, Thai people usually don't eat steak rare or medium rare, right? We usually eat it medium at the least, and then medium well or well done. But it's up to you, whatever you want. So many of you probably know this already, but how do you feel for doneness of steak? And the general rule is, feel this part. This is raw meat. When you put your index finger together, that's medium rare, medium well, and well done. So you're going the wrong way. You go this way. This is well done. So as you go further, it becomes tighter and tighter. So that's kind of a general rule of how you know. Now, different cuts of meat will have different softness to begin with. So like for example, a tenderloin will be softer. So you have to kind of feel the meat to begin with and just kind of use your, it's a lot of practice and, you know.
You're not gonna get it perfect.
No, you're not going to get it perfect the first time, definitely.
But you just have to go with the flow.
Yeah. So our steak or our นื้อย่างis done, but Thai people don't stop here. Next up, I've got 3 more videos coming up, 3 different ways you can dress up the steak into delicious Thai dishes. Our part 2 is a Thai style salad called yum นื้อย่าง. Let's go look at that recipe.